Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
We hope you guys are having a wonderful day out there.
Indeed.
And before we get going, just want to invite you to go ahead and subscribe to both channels if you haven't, or if you may not have checked in a while, as they are inching back close to a couple of interesting numbers. 66,000 subscribers for Evolutionary, which was there years ago before the kibosh was put on, as we've talked about. Interesting. I was watching David Dubine being interviewed, I believe, by Carrie Cassidy.
Yes.
And, I went to look for Project Camelot, and it wasn't there, but there's re-uploads. So I guess they got taken down, I think, and so they had to do another as well. I mean, she's always covered the tough stuff, too, and that gets you in trouble in this world. But we're going to see. It's a tangled mess, guys. Make sure you're also subscribed to EEARTS. Both channels have different stuff put up each day. And we also appreciate everybody that's doing their thing, supporting us over at Patreon and on Ko-Fi as well. Do check out Medicinal Foods. There's a link at the top of every video. We use coupon code EEA. And you can find some things there that'll help boost the immune system and detox. And we see this breaking U.S. Capitol Police order evacuation of Capitol complex, citing aircraft that poses probable threat. And, this is another curious thing to see. Now we see, no threat at the Capitol. More details to come. And then we see the Capitol Police give the all clear after aircraft that posed probable threat prompted evacuation. And supposedly parachutists dropped from the plane into Nats Park. It wasn't properly coordinated and, obviously caused some issues. These are crazy times, and there's a lot of craziness going on out there. So the CDC has requested the Department of Justice to appeal and reinstate the mask mandate on trains and planes. Yes, as you see this, legal defense of mask mandate necessary to preserve the CDC power. And it looks like he's just going to cover his eyes too. Maybe it's nappy nap time for Senor Poopy Pants.
Yeah, I mean, he does. I'm sure he takes naps.
It could be nappy nap time. That's understandable. He does get a little confused at times, and to say the least, as well as change his opinion and changes his eye color too.
Yeah.
Should people continue to wear masks on planes?
That's up to them.
Is your administration going to appeal the mask mandate ruling?
I've not gotten any brief from my CDC. I don't know.
When will you talk to the CDC? Mr. President, should people continue to...
Okay, so at 2 o'clock, he's asked the question, should, people keep putting masks on planes and trains and things like that? And he says, no, it's up to them. Hour and a half later, he says, the CDC didn't tell me what to do yet. Follow the science. Follow the science.
And we know where that leads us all the time.
Yes. It leads to basically a one world CCP system, as we will see these hazmat suits out there with nameless, faceless people. It's just people are waking up. People are really waking up. By the way, several very large food processing plants in the U.S. have blown up or burned down in the last couple days. 7 injured in an explosion. Fire engulfs food plants. Smoke visible for miles. This one was in eastern Oregon. I don't know. Sleepy cellular units going on, or what do you feel?
Well, I mean, it's just going along with what they're doing and trying to create issues when it comes to the food supply. So it's just so deliberate on many different levels. And I would say, yeah, those sleepy cellulars are having to do with this too. So.
Yes, and they're not always, exactly what we would think they are. I mean, they're not necessarily always going to be somebody that's on the PCC payroll. They could be somebody that's just given, a random job to do. maybe somebody down on their luck, or could be coming in from different countries as well. As we know, that border has been wide open and millions have crossed it. We don't even know who they are. Millions upon millions. Meanwhile, Russia tests a nuclear-capable ICBM. As Putin warns enemies, it's food for thought. And this one is very big. The Sarmat is the most powerful missile with the biggest hitting range in the world. It will significantly strengthen the combat power of the Russian strategic nuclear armed forces, the Russian Defense Ministry said. The test took place in Russia's far north. It actually went over Russia. Russia's ginormous. Literally, it is like 4, I guess, in land area, 4 USs, or maybe almost 5 Australia. It's very, very large landmass. But again, less than half the people that we have in the USA, so some areas not very populated at all. U.S. weapons for Ukraine disappearing into a black hole. Intelligence sources told CNN that American weaponry sent to Ukraine is difficult to track. And, who's going to end up with it? Well, what happened to all that equipment in Afghanistan? Tons and tons of money, tax dollars, which is your time if you're a U.S. citizen. It's time you spent working, that they spent your time spent working to send weapons to where and to end up being used by who? Really? Massive obliteration if Russia fails to take Ukraine's east. New phase in the war has begun with Russia focusing on eastern territories and the south coast. But the U.S. and EU are stepping up the weapons deliveries. All these weaponry exchanges that are going on, as we see that it's escalated in some areas, but Russia has withdrawn from other areas. And really, to me, what it looks like when I look at the map and stuff, because Russia was all up in here too, it wasn't going so smooth as many had thought, but still, perhaps it was going to be inevitable, perhaps. And again, nobody really knows exactly what's going on here in some ways. I mean, there are those that feel Russia's going light because they could go much harder and it would cause more death. And then, of course, there's others that are talking about atrocity after atrocity. And there's been a ton of horrible videos out there showing, apparent atrocities going on. But what this does when I look at this map is it makes me think that this thing could go on forever. And again, maybe that's the whole purpose. Think about this. We saw where 1/3 of some categories of U.S. weaponry was depleted already. Well, there's going to be a lot of companies that are going to be getting orders. A lot of money spent resupplying. A lot of, your and my tax dollars are going to be used for this. And, it's not something I personally approve of at all, because I think, again, this is all about, it's about profits. It's about control. It's about status quo. It's about loosh. It's about setting up the next stage in this, N period, W period, O period, which is always changing. So this is a list of the world's 25 largest arms manufacturers in the world. Number 1 is Lockheed Martin in the U.S., $44.9 billion. These are annual. Boeing is number 2 from the U.S., about $27 billion. Raytheon from the U.S., about almost $24 billion. And they are the world's largest producer of guided missiles. And then we see one over in the UK, BAE Systems, Northrop Grumman in the US again, General Dynamics out of the US again. You seeing the pattern here? Well, there's other patterns to look at too, because if you start looking at who is the top shareholders of, say, Lockheed Martin, who is going to benefit from all the weapon sales? Well, these two guys keep coming up, don't they? BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street as well. Interesting, is it not? And then when we go and we look at number 2 there, Boeing, Vanguard, BlackRock, and Newport Trust. Interesting, isn't it? How about we jump to the next one, number 3, Vanguard, BlackRock, right there again. Wow, that's pretty wild. And then when we look to the COVID-19 vaccine stocks and who to invest in, we know, so many of the people in the U.S. Ended up getting Pfizer or Moderna or Johnson & Johnson. There was also the biotech. But when we, again, look at who's the top shareholders there, because there's billions being made over there too. Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street. I see a real pattern here. And look at the next one over. Vanguard, BlackRock. There we go again. In fact, BlackRock and Vanguard, the same shady people that own Big Pharma, they also own the media. They own the media. They own tons of the portions of the arms industry as well. I think we could see a pattern here, can we not?
Well, just so we all know, we're also on Rumble.
Yeah, and Rumble and Bitchute and Brighteon.
Just in case we go to YouTube jail.
Yeah, well, they also are the top owners of Time Warner, Comcast, Disney, and News Corp. So, this is huge. When you have these conglomerates that kind of own everything, control public opinion on things, control the population, and then we see there's, how does this fit into the WEF and the Great Reset? Because it's all part of the same thing. Love them or hate them, Russell Brand was talking all about this and kind of putting a lot of this same stuff together. And I was like, oh gosh, we've been saying this for years, but grateful other people are really catching on. Follow the money. Vanguard, BlackRock, IMF, the International Monetary Fund, world governments. Yes. Again, this is how everything is run. They want to go that next step. So, every single transaction, you got Nancy Pelosi and others that want to know every transaction you're doing. That's, just a few $100s. A few $100. Let's see all their transactions. Let's see how much money she has in her 401ks or IRAs and everything. That's, part of the BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street cooperative.
Well, yeah, I look at what's going on here, and these people have everything they could ever possibly want in this world. And gosh, I really want my children, my grandchildren, to be able to enjoy this world in which they chose to incarnate on. And it just seems so wrong that this is being hoarded the way it is.
And it's even worse than that. It's even beyond hoarding. It's really, I don't know how we could use the proper words to describe what's going on and still be able to post videos tomorrow. You can't really use words that describe the level of
disdain, deceit,
yuck. just to let's just call it yuck. It's absolutely beyond disgusting. It's they used to hand out bags to some horror movies just in case people, had to relieve themselves of their dinner or that popcorn they just put down because they couldn't handle it. Well, when you realize what's going on, you need one of those bags. You absolutely need one of those bags to even look at any of these people. And this is who's controlling the show. And when we look at how it is, when you look to the influential people in the number 46, administration, one of the most influential players is that investment management group called BlackRock. And it's a family affair. And it's these people get appointed to top positions. When you start looking at, okay, who's in the top positions in the WEF, who in the IMF, in all these different groups, Well, there are people on the boards of these companies. I mean, this is, you want to talk about the fixes in. Hello, world. You need to wake up, and we need to do our part in waking up everybody, because it's beyond ridiculous what's going on. About 30% of the plague upon the land patients suffer from that dreaded long plague upon the land. And, things like always feeling tired, always feeling lethargic, things that really, do suck as well, from like losing your smell and never getting it back, taste, that's just horrible. Shortness of breath and fatigue are the main things. And that thing looks pretty spiky to me. And we got to just think about that first plague upon the land that terrified everybody. Decades ago, it was also very, very spiky. And then we just noticed that there's the same cast of characters that are involved in all these things. New implant hacks the brain by going through your chest. Oh, okay. Oh, you mean I don't need a chip in the brain? You could just put a chip by my heart and voila. I don't know. That's just one of the pups, I think, scratching. Yeah. So, yeah. It's a new brain-computer interface, a new modem, a brain modem. Doesn't require a hole in your head. It does, however, require a hole in your chest. And, of course, they bring up Elon Musk's Neuralink. And, again, that merger. Human-cyborg relations. Yeah, this is what they want. Again, to me, that's very scary. The thought of being trapped forever in the body. I wouldn't, there comes a time when, according to the natural way of things, it's time to give up the body and to fly again for a while. Explore in a different density. And then, make up our decision if we're going to come back and do all this craziness over again.
Well, look at everything that we've pointed out, the level of control that they need to have. And if they're definitely not going to use this for people to have any different experiences or any kind of freedoms. It's going to definitely be geared toward more of the same.
Absolutely. As we wake up to the fact that the world is inside out, upside down, and back asswards, it's just so much easier to do, and we had recommendations of this, to do the opposite of what's being recommended, and you'll probably fare better.
Yeah. Oh, you would. You definitely will fare much better.
Absolutely. From the fear of the sun, lather up with all this stuff that, again, look at some of these chemicals and that stuff you're slapping on and see what they can cause. I trust the sun. To me, the sun is a relay from God, from source, and I trust the natural way of things. I don't trust all the artificial enhancements and flavoring given to us by these people that, again, control everything from the war machine to the media to the healing, quote-unquote, machine as well. Now, I'll trust Mother Earth and Father Sky, and that's just me.
And they have a really nice way of keeping us whole.
Absolutely. So as always, guys, again, thanks for your support. Please do like, subscribe, share. God bless, and namaste.
Namaste.